What's up, y'all? Shook here, back with another video on the Holy Paladin, doing some 2v2 with Plum on his Deathknight. This comp is really good. I'm running the same build as I normally run. I did notice that Faith's armor was really nice when healing a plate class, so that was pretty good. I will say that I should have swapped out Divine Vision for Searing Glare in some of these matches because Plum can pull them in and double blind, and then I can use Searing Glare over the top of it. Super powerful. Definitely should have done that. And also on some of the matches where I had Ultimate Sacrifice, I should have swapped that out for Denounce, but that's kind of situational. And that's about it for the build. We got up to rank 11 in US and EU Holy Paladin, and we ended at rank 36, so not too bad. I will say these matches take place between 1800 and 2k MMR, and this is the third week of the season. So let's get into the matches. Okay, so this first match is a Mistweaver and an Arms Warrior. This is a pretty good comp and kind of a common one that we faced. We faced this with a Disc Priest as well. I went ahead and gave Plum the damage buff, and he's going to try and kind of be on top of them and use his control. I'm going to toss him Freedom as much as possible because the Blade Storm does root and the Warrior is going to be on top of him. So kind of while Avatar is up, and he also popped Die by the Sword, so Plum's just going to try and kite away a little bit. Notice that this isn't a Fist Weaver, it is a Cast Weaver. So we can also make swaps to the Mistweaver at some point. So right here I'm going to go in for the Hodge, and I'm just waiting to see if he trinkets, and then I'm going to blind off of it. You're going to see a trend in a lot of these games where we're trying to cross CC a lot. Like sometimes I'll Hodge the DPS and Plum will strangulate the healer, or I will Hodge the healer and Plum will asphyxiate the DPS. So right here he's just kind of trying to peel for me. He does get the interrupt on the Mistweaver there. And I think in the later matches, I was running big debuffs again. The add-on doesn't seem to be like glitching out like it was last season. So we're getting a ton of pressure on this warrior right here, and you notice that I went ahead and gave the cooldown reduction buff to Plum. It kind of helps with his damage since he has a lot of miniature cooldowns, and I don't think the match is going to last super long. I will go ahead and use one of our Blessing and Protections here. He does go for the double blind, and I'm going to Hodge off the double blind, and we're just pumping damage into the warrior now. And it looks like, yeah, right here he does have the interrupt and the warrior does go down. So good first match, not bad. They were about 1820 MMR. This next match was a Disc Priest Unholy Decay. We fought a lot of these as well. DK goes ahead and grips me in. Plum blinds, but I missed on the priest, which is okay. That, you know, that happens a lot of times. They can greater fade. I do Hodge off the top of that, and we can follow it up with some asphyxiates or whatever we want to do. He's going to try and mind games me, so he does use his strangulate, and I go ahead and trinket that. So I don't have trinket now, but what I'm going to try and do is pull this DK into a really bad position. I want to get him split between the priest and I just want them basically split because we have freedom and they don't. So as long as Plum, you see how Plum's keeping chains on the Disc Priest, so we're just going to try and pull this DK into like a really awkward spot, and Plum's going to continually slow the Disc Priest, and it's going to give us a big advantage here in a second. So right here, I'm just going to try and get Plum topped off since the DK popped a lot more cooldowns. He has a lot of his stuff as far as gap closers. Okay, so right there, the priest trinketed. He has no trinket, and this guy is chasing me up top. He does go ahead and pop a defensive there. I'm going to Hodge him up top. Plum's actually going to strangulate the DK here in a second, and he tried to IBF, but you can't IBF when you're strangulated, and so we do take him down. So this was just a good heads-up play by Plum, that realizing that the DK wasn't going to be able to IBF that. So this next match is another Arms Warrior. We're going to kind of do the same things, where I'm going to give Plum freedom as much as possible. He does strangulate the priest there, and he pops damage on the warrior. This is kind of what we don't want, where we're both getting Blade Storm on top of each other. So I'm going to try and play a little bit at range. I'm going to Hodge him, and right here he does trinket and Blade Storms immediately, so I can't blind him off. And Plum grips him off me. So right here, you're going to notice I'm going to be applying Word of Glory just to get that Faith's Armor buff up on Plum as much as possible. It's really powerful versus these warrior teams, and you'll notice Plum is peeling me as much as possible. He's going to be putting chains of ice on the warrior, he's going to be gripping the warrior off me, and Freedom is just a really, really powerful cooldown for this comp. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Plum so he can kite a little bit, and he's just putting chains of ice on the warrior. He's going to swap back to me because I don't have Freedom, but that's okay. I'm going to use Divine Steed. I'm going to dispel Plum from his fear, and we're just kind of getting that little spread pressure. Our kill target really is the warrior. I'm going to hodge him back around. Plum strangulates the priest, and now we're just pumping, you know, quite a bit of pressure here. The priest still does have his trinket available, and I was a little surprised that he didn't decide to trinket there. So again, I'm just trying to pull this warrior into an awkward position. Plum does get the interrupt. I have my interrupt available, and we have blind available, but I'm going to go over here and cast Tyr's Deliverance so I don't fall too far behind. I'm also going to cast my mana buff because I am losing on mana, but that's okay. So right there, he tried to Greater Fate my blind. It was DR'd, so I should have waited a little bit on that blind. I thought we had a little bit more pressure than we actually did, so that was kind of unfortunate. So I do go ahead and hodge the warrior, and we were a little slow with the asphyxiate. I didn't call it out quick enough. I'm going to go ahead and burn a bop there because the warrior pops some of his cooldowns. He has Avatar rolling, and he's kind of chasing us back, but I'm trying to do the same thing. We can slow that priest, but they don't have Freedom, so we just want to pull them into really awkward positions. So right here, Plum pops his Slappy Hands cooldown, and he's doing damage kind of to both of them. I'm kind of trying to get a little bit near the priest, and he gets a full blind here. So right here is where I was talking about, like, Searing Glare would have been really, really nice there. You know, Denounce is also nice versus this one because we're not really needing the ultimate sacrifice in this game because this warrior's swapping around a lot. There's the second Pain Sup that does come out, and Plum asphyxiates the warrior. That second Pain Sup's about to fall off. I think the only cooldown they might have left is Dome. I'm going to get a little bit of a drink here, and I'm trying to pull this warrior back into awkward positions. So Plum's going to slow the priest. He's hitting the priest a little bit more, and we're ramped up to like 48% dampening. So this is kind of dangerous for us because if he sharpens one of us when it gets, you know, around 55% dampening, is very hard to heal through. But we do have our second damage buff, and Plum's going to start doing a ton of damage here. So you can see he used his, I think it's Apocalypse cooldown, and he's just kind of waylaying on the priest. He does go ahead and Mass Dispel my bubble, which was, I mean, really ballsy considering he's just, you know, getting attacked with Plum's cooldowns. We do get feared here, which is kind of unfortunate, but I did stun him. Plum now asphyxiates him. We have one bop available. There's Dome, and I have 8 seconds on Forbearance, and I'm also, again, falling behind on mana. And I think right here I could just cast Double Flash of Light, but I'm trying to drink. So I'm trying to get out of combat as best I can. I do have Ultimate Sacrifice. Notice how Plum is going to root the warrior. He's going to slow the warrior, and I'm just getting a ton of mana back. So the warrior's going to run back here, and Plum realizes, like, okay, he's in trouble. I don't have Hodge, but this warrior's going to be stuck back here with us, and the priest is going to drink. But we're at 55% dampening. This is kind of a danger zone that I was talking about. So I want to pull this warrior away as best as I can. Now Plum sees the priest coming back. He's going to grip the priest in. The priest does trinket there, and Plum does interrupt him, I think, and I'm going to go in for the blind. We actually overlap blind there, and we do get the kill on the warrior. So not super clean, but we kind of had a good game plan with that one, and it's kind of what we do versus a lot of those warrior disc teams. So this next match is another warrior discing. Oh, it's actually the same team. So this is a rematch on a different map. Again, this is kind of just showing, you know, that the strategy does work. You just have to focus on not going So really I need to do a better job of using my flash procs. So like I have 2 right now, and I need to be casting those Flash of Lights. I also need to cast Divine Toll before I cast Daybreak, just to get the maximum refund of the mana there. I go ahead and blind the warrior since he does have Avatar rolling. He doesn't burn his trinket, which, I mean, good on him. I don't think that's worth trinketing there, but it does at least negate his Avatar cooldown. and my blind, you know, it'll come back up in like a minute, and it also DRs with Plum's blind, so I'm not super worried about it. So Plum is, again, just starting on the priest, and then we're kind of going to make a swap to the warrior here in a second. It looks like Plum's starting to make the swap to the warrior, kind of doing just that spread damage, and I'm giving Plum as much of the freedoms as I possibly can. And it looks like the priest is actually purging him this time, so it's a really good strategy by the priest to just try and purge, get like Plum as clean as he can, so that way when I do freedom him, he can't, or he'll get the freedom every single time when he purges. So right here, Plum's actually taking a lot of damage. We do have ultimate sack available, and I'm going to use both Infusion of Light procs, and then I use another Holy Shock, and I'm going to cast Deer's Deliverance. So Plum's starting to go cooldowns. I was a little slow again on the Hodge. He gets the Die by the Sword off before I Hodge, so we were a little off on that one. I needed to be a little bit closer to Hodge whenever he asphyxiated the priest. But that's that cross CC that I was talking about. You want to do that as much as possible with this comp, because Deathknights have quite a bit of control. I'll go ahead and lay on hands myself instead of bubbling, because I'm not really worried about him killing me, and that was my ultimate sacrifice, is what was causing me to take so much damage there, because I did sack Plum. We have one Blessing of Protection left, so they're actually doing a lot more like pressure this round. I don't remember if this is the first or the second time that we fought them, but they did a ton of pressure in this one. So right there, we're going for the cross CC. I do go ahead and Hodge the warrior, and now I'm going to go over here and blind. So we have the priest has no trinket, and now we're just trying to do a bunch of damage, and now down goes the warrior. So again, kind of the same strategy, but we didn't have to pull him into an awkward position. We just got a good cross CC there. So it's definitely a tough matchup. But yeah, those are the games. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe, drop a like on the video, helps me out a ton. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments section. I'm going to be uploading another Holy Priest video this week, and hopefully another Holy Paladin video. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.